What's up, peeps? It's Mrs. Holt here again. We've got a really cool piece of art that we are working on here. We worked on this last time you saw this video. This is our Abstract I Am poem. So if you missed how to do that video, your teacher should have a link to that somewhere in your past Google Classroom. But basically what we did is we took a Sharpie or a black marker. We created 4 different wavy lines that made 5 little spaces on our paper. So you can kind of see those wavy lines in there. Then we used adjectives, which is a word that describes something. And we used adjectives to describe how we were feeling during this time. So we all started out with the words I am, and then we filled in those adjectives into the spaces. It's important that when you're writing those words that the letter touches the top and the bottom of the wavy line. So it starts all the way at the top, every letter touches, which creates that really cool abstract look. Now we're going to color these. Now you can use a lot of different techniques, methods, materials to color these in. That's totally up to you. Whatever you have available, use it. You don't have to use the same materials that I'm using. You could use colored pencils, you could use markers, you could use crayons, oil pastels, colored pencils, whatever you have on hand. I am going to use oil pastels. So a lot of you guys know what oil pastels are. We use them a lot in the art room. Because they're just really cool and juicy. And I have these really cool neon oil pastels. We've used these before, I think in 5th grade. I can't 100% remember because, quarantine brain. So I'm using these really cool neon oil pastels, and I'm also going to be using watercolor paint at the end to create a watercolor resist. If you don't have watercolor, it's totally fine. Just color this however you want. The only rule that you have to follow while you're coloring this in is that each little pocket of shapes that your letters have created needs to be a different color or pattern. Here's what I mean. If you look at my first line says, I am busy. Well, when I did my eye from top to bottom here, I made this kind of funky shape right here. And then there's one beside it, these 2 like rectangles, right? Then there's this little shape right here, the little triangle, big triangle, the M shape. All of these shapes need to be different colors. And with my neon pastels, they are very bright. So you could just color in a solid color. Pastels make it really easy because they're really juicy, so the color kind of spreads around really nice and makes a dark, vibrant color. So I use this Radical Red is the name of this color first, so I'm not going to use that next. I might choose a different color. Well, I'm definitely going to choose a different color, but it might be this. Well, work with me. This teal color. This is called green, graphic green. And maybe my next one I don't color it all the way in. Maybe this one I do a diagonal striped pattern. And I can leave some of the white spaces in there as well. So you're just going to work through in each little space. Don't forget these tiny little guys right here. Each little shape that you have created needs to be a different color, or fill it with different patterns. Lines work really well, dots. You could even do like a gradient. Here's what I mean by gradient. So if you have like 3 colors that are really similar, this dark pink, this radical red, and this light pink. So if you have like 3 colors like this, you can make a blend where it blends into itself. So down here you'd put your darkest color. Then about midway, you go with your middle color, your mid-tone. And then finish it off with your brightest color. Now I'm reusing this Radical Red, but as you can see, I didn't put the same color right beside each other, right? There was 3 other shapes in between there. But that's a really cool way to get a different look. You could do that again with like the green, blue, and purple, whatever color. So I'm just gonna finish filling in all of my different shapes with my different colors and patterns, and I will come back and show you how we are going to add watercolor paint to create an even cooler design if you have it. If you don't have watercolor paint, not a big deal. You can do this with markers, crayons, whatever you have laying around at home as far as art materials. I'm using watercolor and oil pastel. If you have that stuff, great. If not, no big deal. You can still make a really awesome and creative piece of art. Alright guys, you can see I finished my oil pastel filling in of patterns and colors and shapes and all kinds of fun things. Now I'm going to go back with some watercolor paint, and so anywhere there's like white of the page, so anywhere I did like stripes or dots or anything like that, I'm going to go back and paint with watercolor to create a watercolor resist. If you like the way this looks, which this looks pretty rad in my opinion, you can leave it just like this and that's a finished and complete and cool piece of art. I'm going to go one step further and use my watercolor paints to give it a different texture in those white spots. I may not paint every single one because I think the white kind of balances the piece as well. So I'm going to fast forward through adding my watercolor. Alright guys, for me that's going to be a complete piece. I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's super colorful and bright. I think my favorite technique that I used is the blending. So like something like this that blends dark to light. I really think that's got a cool effect. So I hope you enjoyed creating with me. I miss you guys so much. If you feel like you want to share this piece with me, I'd love to see it. Take a picture of it and send it to me on my email, and like I said, I just would love to see the artwork that you guys have been creating and the different adjectives you use to describe kind of how you've been feeling, what you've been doing during this time. Alright guys, till next time.